Okay, here we are. So I'm David Mack, and I'm here with my esteemed colleagues, Dustin and Mary Jane, who are here to give you a step-by-step video of how to add your hours onto QuickBooks time system for Joe Good Performance Group. So thank you for being here with us, and this is going to be very casual but comprehensive. So we will roll through this together. And the first step, I think our shared screen is up, so you should be able to see a screen from our colleague Mary Jane, who has been invited to join QuickBooks Time as an employee of Joe Good Performance Group. So this is the email that you should have received or will receive from your supervisor to enter into QuickBooks Time to enter your hours moving forward. As you see here, if you already have an account with QuickBooks, which most of you likely do, you'll be able to simply click on use that account. If not, you'll be able to create an account and add your credentials, username and password, to access QuickBooks and QuickBooks Time. Oh, and it looks like we have an invitation that's expired. If that comes up for you, your supervisor will be able to resend you a new invitation. So you send them an email and ask them to send you a new invitation, and then they will send it to you via email from their admin access on the back end of QuickBooks. And then that will be sent to your account, usually within a couple of minutes. But definitely be patient as you receive that. Let your supervisor know if you don't receive it. But if you do, like Mary Jane just did, you should be able to click again on the use the account, and it should then be able to take you straight to your sign in. And here we go. So yes, if you already have your username from previous use of QuickBooks, as mentioned, you can go and sign right in with that same email address and password. This should then redirect you to what they call T-Sheets, QuickBooks Time tsheets.intuit.com. There's going to be a bunch of different settings here, but you can actually X out of this submit time box and payroll report. The tab that you're going to want to look at is time entries. So yeah, Mary Jane, go ahead and click on that time entries. On the left-hand sidebar, what should pop up for you is your manual time card. You see, it looks very similar to weekly timesheet with the days of the week there and the hours. So what you'll enter in here is the amount of hours that you work per day per pay type. So yeah, we're going to do, as a tester, we're going to do a week of September 10th hours, and have Mary Jane put in some mock hours into the timesheet to show you how the different pay items work and how to submit your various ways of being paid for the work that you've done. So first, we will talk about our time off codes. And with that, I'll direct you to the first column you see on the left-hand, the upper left-hand side there, labeled donor of this weekly timesheet. Now, it's called donor because that is the way that QuickBooks infrastructure is set up, but don't let that confuse you. This is not for donors. This is where you can put in various time off codes, and your time off codes is your holiday pay if you're eligible for that, or your vacation pay if you're eligible for that, paid sick time, paid time off, and unpaid time off. Any of those types of time off time codes that you are eligible for, you want to click on, just the way Mary Jane just did here, into that donor box underneath that donor column. And so Mary Jane, let's say that you were sick for that first shift. So you can go ahead and click on that sick button, and you can, on the upper right hand side, click the X to X off this time off here box, and so that it takes you right back to your time entries. And there you see where Mary Jane selected, it now said sick under that donor column. So this is where you will put in your sick hours. This will be hours if you had a shift. Let's say you're a teaching artist and you had a 2-hour shift and you're sick that day. Upon approval of your supervisor, you can put in the amount of hours that you would have been paid as sick hours. So there, yep, as Mary Jane just did, you put that in right as a 2 for the total hours that you did that day. And then let's move into a next column. So if you have worked another shift on the following day, you want to put that in a separate row from the previous row if you've added different types of hours for the previous day. So in the second row there, in the second column, yeah, let's put in an entry, and let's talk about overtime. So with overtime, for all employees, if you work over 8 hours per day, or 7 consecutive days of the week, any hours that you work on that 7th day, and the work week starts on Sunday for Joe Good Performance Group and ends on Saturday. So you work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you also work Saturday, all of those hours are overtime. If you happen to work over 40 hours a week, you're also eligible for overtime for those hours over the 40th hour. And then, of course, double overtime is over 12 hours per day and over 8 hours above the 40th hour of the week. So let's say, Mary Jane, that you did a 10-hour shift this day. You can go ahead and put those total hours right there in the box, and it will automatically be calculated. So you don't have to put in separate time for your overtime. All you have to do is make sure you have approval of your supervisor, submit in your total hours, and then on the back end, your supervisor will ensure that your overtime is auto-calculated through the system. Also, for all the different types of hours that you're entering, with the exception of your paid time off codes, you'll notice a box below the weekly timesheet. So if Mary Jane, if you don't mind hovering over that class and payroll item boxes, those are required. We ask you to put in your class. And of course, class stands for our various programs with the company. So you see our programs there. If you've done administrative work or work for a production or work for community engagement programs, all of those different programs are listed. If you're unsure what class to select, ask your supervisor. And so, yes, Mary Jane, let's say this was a production that we were working on for those 10 long, well-earned hours. You can click on that productions class, and that will automatically connect to those hours for that day. Payroll item is then the type of pay that is. It's regular pay, or as you see, we have various different types. Those may fluctuate. You might see different payroll items as time moves forward and as supervisors set different constraints and different selections. But in this case, let's say regular pay is the option for this day, Mary Jane. So we'll put in, I believe you can auto type or you can select it from the drop down. And there it is. And so then that will be your class and your payroll item for that shift. So let's try another type of pay. Let's talk about a regular shift that includes paid travel time and mileage reimbursement. So let's go on to the next day, Tuesday, and let's say, Mary Jane, another row. We did a 4-hour shift that day as a regular shift. And let's say that was a regular shift at the administrative class. So I can update that class there, productions to admin unrestricted. And then in the row below, let's say in addition to the 4-hour regular shift, you did 1 hour of paid travel time. So yeah, Mary Jane, you can go ahead and add a 1 in there and update that payroll item to paid travel time. And so this is how you will signify to your lead, to your supervisor, how you'll account for your travel time. You want to make sure you have that on a separate row and have that within the same day that you traveled as part of your shift. And remember, you are eligible for mileage reimbursement as well. And so that information you want to put into the notes. So Mary Jane, you can go ahead in the notes box and add mileage reimbursement. Mileage reimbursement by federal mandate is allowable at 14 cents per mile for nonprofit companies. And so you can add that. What we would like you to add that information in so that your supervisor knows to add it to your payroll when payday comes for you. So you add in that 14 cents per mile, you multiply that by how many miles you traveled. So let's say you did 10 miles round trip, Mary Jane, for this shift. Then you multiply that all up, and that should be $1.40 of mileage reimbursement that you would get for that day. And so make sure that you enter those notes and then save those notes so that information can be relayed to your supervisor when they're approving your hours. So yep, now we've added a bunch of selections for the week. And did I miss anything, y'all? I think those are all the selections, right? Okay, so now we want to save the work that we've done. So you see the blue save button on the lower right-hand side. So you can go ahead and click that, Mary Jane. Great, so now those changes are saved successfully, but they are not yet submitted. So you also want to press the submit button, which you'll notice is a above, yep, on the upper left-hand side there, above the dates. But before you press that button, you want to make sure that you've entered all your hours the way that you would like them to be entered. If there's any changes that you want to make those changes before you press submit, because once you press submit, it will go straight to our supervisors for them to approve your time or maybe connect with you if they have any further questions, and you will not be able to make any further edits after you press submit. So make sure you make all of your changes that you want and you're sure, and you can save your changes as you go with that blue button as we saw before you press that submit time. If after you press the submit time and after you've been paid at that particular pay date, if you realize that there's some additional hours that you worked that you forgot to put in, and you want to go back and put them into this timesheet, if you do that, it will not send an automatic notification to your supervisor. So they won't know to pay you for those additional hours. So we ask that you send an email to your supervisor if you want to make any additional changes after your pay date is complete. And then your supervisor will be able to work with you to make those changes on the back end. All right. But Mary Jane, I think we did what we wanted to do. So you can go ahead and press that submit time button. When you press it, you'll see another box will pop up here, which will indicate the various hours. It's a little bit hazy, but if you look under that second row under September 10th and 11th and 12th, you see that's the hours that Mary Jane entered onto the timesheet. And you want to make sure that the checkbox that you click there is the final date of the pay period that you are submitting to be paid. If you're unsure what that date is, you can check with your supervisor. They will be sending you regular emails letting you know when payroll is due to submit for you, and also the pay period that you're submitting for. So you want to make sure you check that last day of the pay period. Dustin, what do we got going on here?
Additionally, just the last day of the pay period will always be that last day listed because our pay periods end every other Saturday. So in this case, it'll be September 16th.
Thank you for that, Dustin. And you're absolutely right, because the company is on a biweekly, is that how we call it? Yes, a biweekly, once every 2 weeks pay period. I know some other companies do monthly or semi-monthly. We do biweekly. So it will always be that same dates as Dustin mentioned. Thanks, Dustin. All right. So Mary Jane, I think we're ready. We have the check we want. You see it says the total hours, 17 hours that Mary Jane has submitted. So make sure that the total hours are the hours that you want to submit. And you can press again, submit time for that extra confirmation. And then just a final little check. Are you absolutely sure that you want to do this? Because it will lock once you make those changes. We are sure people today. So we are going to press that submit button. Go ahead, Mary Jane. Great. And now your time card has been submitted. Don't worry if you don't see any final notification boxes at this point. This information has now been sent to your supervisor to approve your time. If you want to do a double check, send them an email just to make sure that they received it, but you can rest assured that they can take it from here and let you know if they have any additional questions before approving your hours. So I think that that's all that we have for you for the how-tos of QuickBooks Time. I do want to also let you know, if you want to see your timesheets, that is done through QuickBooks Workforce. And on there, you can go in through a username and password you set up specifically for QuickBooks Workforce, which you should have received when you did your onboarding. And that will then include your pay stubs and also how many hours of benefits you have left. So you know how much paid sick leave, paid time off, and unpaid time off you have remaining to use, and also any other benefits tracking for you. If you don't have access to that QuickBooks Workforce, or if you try and it's not working for you, check with your supervisor so that they can make sure that they get you access to that or provide that information for you. Also, if anything that we showed you doesn't work from your end, because we understand computer systems have bugs and things happen in life, don't stress. Feel free to reach out to your supervisor via email or who you've been directed to reach out to for technical support, and they will support you in making sure you're able to successfully submit your hours. Anything else, Mary Jane or Dustin, that we have to say, or do you think we got it for these folks?
I
Think we got
think, yeah, I think we got it. Looks good.
Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much, Mary Jane, for your help with this. Thank you, Dustin. Just to let you all know, we did this in one take. It was on the fly. So we have a great team here, making sure that we get you paid for your work. And yes, have fun with Joe Good Performance Group. Thank you for being on the team, and enjoy getting paid through QuickBooks Time. Take care.